Hey, this is Brian Bliss, and I have a really interesting insight and input to a controversial subject that I've seen debated online. There's a way to engage your potential prospects on social media by using a search, which you can actually highlight your competitors' brand names and your competitors' product names, and in a search, do a keyword search, and listen for the chatter that's happening. And some people are actually engaging their competitors' customers when their customers are complaining, and then complaining about, and then disparaging the competitor. So, simple example, I don't know if this has happened yet, but say somebody is online, they complain about their AT&T reception, somebody from Verizon could theoretically contact them and talk about how sucky AT&T is, and now wouldn't you want to come over to us? And the questions about this is it sleazy? Is it unethical? Would you do it? And does it work? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the story a little bit and relate this back to something that we all know and all experienced. All of us in our group see the other side doing this, and we see that it makes us respect the other side less because they do it in politics. And it's become the law of the land. You can remember exactly how controversial it was, how big a news story it was when Joe Wilson shouts at the president, "You lie!" He made a ton of money off of that. But you know who else made a ton of money off of that? His running mate. That empowered and emblazoned both sides. Democrats rallied around it and raised money. Republicans rallied around it and raised money. And that was one of the hottest fundraising events the guy had ever seen. His biggest year ever. Just recently in the President's State of the Union address, in addition to the headlines about what the President was talking about that we could do, was the one big finger wagging, "That's not true," when Justice Alito shakes his head. And when the Supreme Court basically pulls a Joe Wilson, "You lie," on the President, that's the same strategy that we're talking about here, about people engaging their customers' media and disparaging the opposition. It's a really deep, complex subject about whether it's ethical or not, because the people on the one side really believe, or maybe they act like they're believing it because it can be used as a strategy instead of, sincerity. If they really believe in themselves, then you have a moral obligation to say, "That's not true, this is the right thing." And how are we to judge what the other person's true beliefs are? We can judge whether their results are good or bad, or right or wrong, or they make money or they don't money, or whether this worked or it didn't. But you can't go into somebody else's heart and really judge whether they truly believe it themselves. And if Joe Wilson really believes the President's lying, maybe that's not the right forum. Well, it's definitely not the right forum and the decorum to shout it over, Congress halls. The message, the context was poorly chosen, but maybe he really believed it. And maybe Justice Alito really believes, maybe even though he didn't shout, maybe he really believes in himself, and no, that's not accurate. And when you stand firmly and morally and honestly on your principles, it's not for me to judge that person as being sleazy if they think they're being honorable. That's a matter of interpretation. It's a really confusing element of persuasion here, and I really study this deeply. I'm really trying to figure this out, because we have two highly motivated, highly passionate sides of a political dialogue. Each believes the other side is blind. Each doesn't understand how the other side could believe this and act this way and say those things. Each side thinks they're right and the other guys. It's a divisive world. It is a yes or no, us or them, you're with us or you're against us kind of world lately, and that's disturbing. And to just call the other side unethical because their opinion is diametrically different to ours, that's a cop-out. That's not looking deep enough at the situation. And that's dismissing and diminishing whatever potential value the other side has. So, you know, it's important to consider the results of the ideas, to consider the intentions of the speakers and their belief in their integrity before just, you know, throwing up a gauntlet, a line in the sand, us or them, you're with us, you're against us. That's too cut and dry, and the world doesn't really work that way. That being said, the politics of persuasion does work that way. Rapport and trust are the currency of our modern day. And when a person has developed a long relationship with a customer or a follower or a political, you know, a voter believes in their candidate, you know, one of the most irreversible ways that relationship can be damaged is when the trust truly is broken, when it is betrayed. People don't like being lied to. People don't like feeling that they put their trust in the wrong guy. And the way to break the rapport and the ongoing relationship is to break that trust. Now, a person can break the trust by their own actions and betray the other person. But frequently they're not going to tell the other person that I'm breaking your trust, that I'm betraying you right now. They might try to do it under the table, and that's the way life goes. So it is up to the other side to raise the flag, to yell on the bullhorn, you lie, you're breaking the trust. It's up to me to break his rapport when he's betraying his followers. So, you know, right or wrong, good or bad, ethical or not, it's all a matter of interpretation. And it's not that. It's a really difficult question, and I want you to think a lot more about this. This is a phenomenal debate. It goes to talk about what we should be doing, how we should be engaging the other people. People say you should never talk disparagingly about your competition. You know, the right should never really talk disparagingly about the left. Baloney, that's just too kumbaya. That's not the way the real world works lately. And either everybody's right or everybody's wrong if you just decide to look in those terms, because everybody's calling the other guys wrong. It's too complex to make a cut and dry decision, and this video is already almost too long. I hope it's not too long for YouTube. Thanks. I'm Brian. Take care.